parents really want to be involved. They just don't always know how. And again, because things are changing so quickly, they are not able to keep up with, I don't know how to keep them safe. I don't even know how to do this anymore. And they don't know where to start.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media. And we also ask them questions that we get from parents all over the country in our program. Now, let's get back to the interview.
My name is Ken Rodriguez. I'm the superintendent of schools in Grandview, Missouri. We have just under 4,000 kids on about 11 campuses and just south of the Kansas City metro area.
Superintendent, it's so great to have you here today. You're traveling today, and we're honored to have you during your travels as you're bettering yourself as a leader, doing all these great things. And I'm excited as well for our audience today as we talk about keeping kids safe on social media so they can someday shine online for that future career, job, and everything else. Now, for all our listeners, you're either a parent or a superintendent or everyone in between. We love all those in between people, your staff members, maybe your grandparents or legal guardian of some kiddos. Our goal here is we'll never shame you, but we will give you the tools and the ideas and the strategies, whether you're a staff member or leadership, or whether you're a parent, on how we can nurture the best kids in the next decade. And that's what we're here to do. Superintendent, I want to start this off with a question for you. And I'd like to ask you, get your advice. And I want you to set me straight. So if you have advice and you're saying, Josh, you get this wrong, I welcome that. We want to be the best in the world at what we do. So after 200 plus superintendent conversations with your peers, we've heard a consistent trend across 40 states that we've interviewed. We're hearing that students are growing up in a digital world filled with powerful tech, AI, and social media. And maybe this isn't true in your community. Maybe you have perfect children and perfect parents, and we're all striving for that. But set me straight here. We're hearing that sometimes kids lack the maturity and guidance to use these new tools safely. And the result can be more student absences, lower focus, rising cyberbullying, declining self-esteem, and AI misuse in the classroom. In addition, we're hearing that parents are trying to raise good kids in a world they didn't grow up in, a world where tech moves faster than safety policies. Teens know how to hide apps and online behavior, and safety lessons usually come after a crisis. Superintendent, I'd love to get your advice and your insights. Are there any other trends on this topic that you have seen so we can alert other school districts before we see them?
Well, thanks for having me. I think no matter what, this is going to be a continual challenge. It's been something that we've been dealing with for a very long time. This is like my 30th year in education, like my 20th year in being a kind of a leader in terms of assistant principal and up. And I remember my first year being an assistant principal and we were dealing with social media. And so that's kind of the beginning of it, but the technology is changing so quickly now. I think that's part of the challenge. I've been superintendent for 9 years and I still have a pre and a post in terms of COVID kind of being in the middle. And I think while I don't know that I have a new trend to be able to add to the conversation, what I talk about a lot is that there are connections, I think, that are happening with technology that do start with kind of right in the middle with when you look at COVID. Before COVID, we were dealing with this issue and we were dealing with this challenge and we were talking about it and trying to be good digital citizens. And I remember my second year being superintendent and I was talking to them because my daughter was a senior and I talked to a large group of parents after a challenge. And I said, you need to be looking at your kid's social media account, but you also need to look at their second a social media account that they don't tell you that they have because they do. And I was talking from my own personal experience, and I know students that do that. They have one that they put under their name so they can show their parents, and then they have one that they put under whatever they go by. And so those are the challenges that we're dealing with then. Then we shut everything down. We put everybody online and we say, you do everything online. It's going to be great. And we're going to teach you. We're still going to go forward. And we did an amazing job during that time. The downside is we did such a good job for it that now I think students know, hey, I can do my work online. I can do this, I can do that. So we almost force them into this even more so. Then you add AI on top of this. And it is so much input for them. There's so much stuff going on. Our parents still don't necessarily understand either and how to deal with it. Our teachers are still dealing with it as well, because now it's changing so much faster than ever before. So I don't know that I have a new trend, but I can tell you that this is a continuum and it's just actually getting worse because of the speed and the rapid pace of the technology.
I think you're right on there, 100%. And what I really like that you're also mentioning is the pre and post. We have to keep COVID in mind, where kids are at. They want to be online even more. And for all your parents listening right now, we want to make sure and not overwhelm you. There is no shame here. And a lot of parents are going to say, how do I keep my kids active without giving them that iPad? Remember, parents, the number one safety app in the world, the only thing that's really going to protect your kids, it's not Google, it's not Microsoft. Sorry to those companies. It's a rich dialogue you have with your kids so that they feel comfortable coming to you if they see something online on Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok. There's so much out there. Superintendent, I was actually talking to another superintendent yesterday and I brought this up. This is fascinating. I think a mom of 4 kiddos was talking to me and she said, Josh, we reach millions of people across the country and I love getting on the phone with some of the users and listeners. She said, Josh, it's such a different world from the late 90s, early 2000s, or mid 90s, when growing up, TV would not allow 4-letter words and foul language, and it would kind of keep you clean growing up. And nowadays, all of the stuff on YouTube has little to no filter. Kids can go around that and they're being raised. We are what we eat and we are what we absorb and see and listen and hear, right? What are your thoughts on that? Is your advice? How do you keep your kids safe in a world where YouTube isn't like you and I growing up, where TV was somewhat regulated and we had a wholesome childhood?
Well, their kids are exposed to a lot more things right now. And so it really goes back to when they're little and getting them to be able to make good decisions because you're not going to be able to stop it. You're not going to be able to. And I think that's the biggest misnomer is that, oh, we're somehow as adults going to be able to control this. Okay. So we're going to put a filter here and we're going to do this. And I do time limits and I do all that. And it's going to work out perfectly. They will find a way to get around every one of those things. So it's really about teaching them to make good decisions of what kind of person do you want to be? What kind of content do you want to really look at? Not saying that it's going to be perfect because the things that we absorb are not necessarily perfect. We are seeking that out. And again, we seem to sometimes leave out that kids are going to become what they see every single day. So as parents, as community, as whatever that community is for you, that's what they're seeing every single day. And so teaching them to make good decisions, to be critical of what they absorb. And it's not saying that sometimes you're just going to mindlessly scroll because that's, there's something about that and turning your brain off. But if that's all you're consuming, you're never really learning. You're never really growing as an individual. But what I see, and I've talked to a lot of parents over the years as well. And it's like you said several times already today, it's nothing critical and it's anything about parents because they're doing the absolute best they can. But many times they start those conversations when kids are like 14, 15, and 16 years old. And it's like, well, you've almost kind of missed that window. You really got to go back to younger because they're seeing from the moment that they're repeating everything that they say. That's really cute when they're younger. And it's like, oh, that's so sweet. But they're hearing everything. They're repeating everything. So you kind of start there about making good decisions about what kind of person you want them to be and what information are they going to absorb every single day. Because like you said, what you absorb and who you surround yourself, that's what's going to ultimately be the biggest impact on you as an individual.
So true. I want to speak to all of our audience right now, our parents. Remember, we have these live events that we host every single week, even during the summer, and we listen to a lot of parent questions. Parents are asking us, and here's one of the sample ones from our live event. They say, Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger? Smart Social is all about safety so they can someday shine online. Remember, parents, we want that dream job, career, resilient kid in the future. That's our dream. There is a light at the end of the tunnel for smart social. It's smart social. It's not safe social. Let's get your kids on this highway in a safe way, driving this digital vehicle. Well, let's hear an answer to this question from a real student about how she might help a friend recognize these red flags.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start. If they feel a sense of being uncomfortable or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
Parents, remember, if your school district is a partner, which we're partnered in dozens of states, we have these weekly live parent events and replays that are online. Gone are the days where I used to fly to your city and do a one parent night event and you couldn't make it because you're busy. We get it. We now have two every week throughout the school year. We do giveaways. We have Kindles we give away, Bluetooth speakers, 3D printers, things that actually accelerate your family into STEM education or fun family time. Come on out, enter for a chance to win. It's a great 45-minute program because in the middle right there, you'll see we have teen-led video lessons. So real teens are actually teaching this program, 8 experts that are all psychologists, therapists, counselors, teens, and then we have a premium parent newsletter. Here's what happened in New York. We're on the news a lot, parents, and I show you this because I want you to know if you come to these events, here's how parents are being engaged, plus giveaways and a whole lot more. You are the one that needs to decide whether it's too much screen time or just right.
But parents and teachers know when it comes to teenagers and social media, that's easier said than done. So, in an effort to protect students from the dangers of being chronically online, schools are doing something you might not expect, asking parents to get online too.
It makes an awareness to parents and students. It also gives them an understanding of some of the warning signs.
That's just one reason why Deron Wilson, an executive director of school engagement, says his district uses the app Smart Social. It's an online app designed to educate parents and students on how to avoid strangers and dangerous situations online.
Kind of like, I want to say, a trap. When you get involved in the cyberbullying, you might start friending somebody on an app, or somebody might say, hey, they might send me your picture.
Smart Social founder Josh Oakes says while there are a lot of things that can and should scare us online, the increased number of parents he is able to reach underscores the importance of growing social gathering spaces online.
Back in the day, I used to be one of the top social media safety speakers nationwide, but I was flying around to certain school districts and they're the best of intentions, but only 20 or 30 parents would show up. We get 10 times the amount of parents to show up, and they want to learn from the convenience of their home or office how to keep their kids safe on social media. They want to ask live questions. They want to learn how to have dialogue starters with their kids that actually get their kids excited about talking with their parents and strengthening that relationship.
Darcy Wertique, Spectrum News.
All right, parents, remember, we have lots of events every single month. We have a new flavor of events that are world class. I'm going to walk you through one real quick. So if your district is a partner, this episode will come out in the middle of June. But today we have one, Shine Online, Help Your Child Build a Positive Online Footprint. It's a summer streaming session. We've got Reducing Arguments, Avoiding Strangers all summer long, and back to school is going to be nuts. Parents, not only do we have that in 12 different languages, we have our on-demand replays with little bite-sized nuggets you can show your kid. A lot of kids say, wow, that didn't suck. They actually like our program. And that's like one of the biggest compliments we often receive is, wow, that was pretty good. Real teens taught me stuff. It's all about pros and cons of video games, understanding social media's impact. Parents, we hope you'll join us on our next event. Okay, we're back over to our guest expert, Superintendent. My question for you is, in addition to all these 200 plus conversations across 40 states with your awesome peers, many of them go to ASA as well, which we love, that superintendent conference. We've heard from communities as well, these 2 bullet points. Many parents are feeling overwhelmed trying to keep up with fast moving online trends and digital safety risks. And students are also finding ways to increase screen time and bend the rules, especially when expectations at school during the school year differ significantly from those at home. Superintendent, what trends or pain points are you seeing when it comes to parent engagement? And where do you feel families are struggling the most to stay informed or connected?
Yeah, I think as they are busy themselves, the biggest challenge that we have is parents themselves are busy. They are busy trying to do their lives, and they have work and they have other things going on. So then it's very difficult for them to make sure that they stay as engaged as they can. And kids are smart. So they are going to find their ways to kind of be off doing the things that they sometimes are not supposed to do. So I think the challenges that I've seen is that parents really want to be involved. They just don't always know how. And again, because things are changing so quickly that they are not able to keep up with, I don't know how to keep them safe. I don't even know how to do this anymore. And they don't know where to start. And so that's sometimes the biggest thing is, where can I start? You mentioned something already on this of just just having conversations with your kids of just saying, look, I know you're going to do stuff that I don't know about. And I know you're going to do stuff that you don't want to tell me about. But let's have conversations, especially when you're uncomfortable in a situation. If there's ever anything that you're uncomfortable with in a situation, please come and talk to me. Just having those kind of conversations and building that relationship, I think that's some of the biggest challenges. But how do you stay informed or connected? My own staff members, and we talk about these things, they struggle with really being able to keep up because, again, they're busy. They're trying to teach. They're trying to stay on top of content. They're trying to make sure that they're knowing where their kids are every single day and what's going on and how are they doing academically and socially and all those kinds of pieces. And so taking 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to even understand the latest things, what's going on with AI for them, it's very, very difficult to do. So we're the ones that are supposed to be teaching a lot of these particular components. And so what I tell them is, hey, this is a partnership. We cannot do everything ourselves. You cannot do everything yourselves. We should be working together. I've talked to our local leaders and our police and our fire and just our city leaders of like, hey, we all need to be having this conversation as a community. How are we staying safe in all these different areas? Because it will lead to sometimes violent events and other challenges that we don't want to see in our community. So I think school districts sometimes try to solve all the problems themselves. And we just need to make sure that we're trying to build that community as much as we possibly can to work together because it's going to take all of us. We cannot do it by ourselves.
So true. I normally don't do this on the pod, but I'm really enjoying this conversation. I want to introduce all of our audience to some of the dialogue starters we have at our live events, Superintendent. Parents and anybody in education right now who's watching, listening to our program worldwide, here's some of the things that people are saying a lot of great stuff about at our live events. Feel free to screenshot this, anybody watching. You might consider some of these dialogue starters around the dinner table or in the car ride home from school. What did you enjoy most about the show, app, video game you're watching? Now, every single month we have a different flavor, Superintendent. So there's lots of flavors of these, but this one's really on the dangers or the impact of too much screen time, which I think is going to be a big for summer, right? How do you feel after you've been in front of a screen for a long time? More energized or more tired? Why do you think that is? Parents, this is going to give your kid, this one, number 2, is going to give the kid the chance to start thinking about self-moderation. Whoa, you know what? I don't feel so great, Mom. You're kind of right. Too much time on TikTok, right? And then you can start to ask them, what is too much time? So, child, if we set a goal this week for better screen time balance, like more outdoor time, family time, better sleep, what could we try together? Parents, it's got to come from the kiddos. The best plans are made together. We're hearing nationwide, and kids tend to like this. They'll push back on parents. And you know what, parents? No shame to you or any of us, but they may say, Mom, you need to put down your phone, which is, it's hurtful, but boy, is it good, right? And then one last one. Would it be helpful to set a timer when it's time to turn off screens so I don't have to nag you? Let's dive into just a couple more. When you're on the phone a lot, do you ever feel like you miss out on other things you enjoy? Who do you usually chat with online? Are they people you know in real life? And this is going to open up. One more pro tip is asking about friends. We'll get to that in a sec. What's the hardest part about balancing screens, school, and friends? Really just pulling that out. How many of us are asking our kids this? And then is there anything about being on social media, video games that ever makes you feel uncomfortable or stressed? One more pro tip, parents, for all the listeners. We're hearing from some of our psychologists that if you said something like, who do you usually chat with online? The second one, it could be, who are your friends with chatting with online? That might be a little less diving into your kids, a little less pressure for the kids, and then they can open up about their friends. Superintendent, what are your thoughts on some of these dialogue starters? Do you have one I've missed? Is there one that I should write down that you're using a lot?
No, I think those are exactly on point because again, it's not about the ending of the conversation. It's about the beginning of them because they just don't know what to say starting with. So this is just meant to be a starting point. And that's the hope, is just to open up that dialogue and finding a way to chat with them. I'd also say that just because the first one doesn't work doesn't mean that you stop. Well, I tried one, it failed miserably, so I'm never doing that again. It may take, if they're not used to that kind of dialogue, my kids had to get used to those kinds of things, of me really starting to ask individual probing kind of questions, even in my own household when they were in my school. So I think those are the kind of pieces that it may not go perfectly the first time, but it will get easier the more, and they will start talking. They want to talk to you. I mean, most of the time, they really do want to talk to you. They may not tell you everything, but they will open up, especially when they're uncomfortable or they feel unsafe. They know the people in their world that will keep them safe. And you're one of those individuals. So we definitely want to encourage that, but don't feel bad if it doesn't go well the first time.
So true. So true. Hey, Superintendent, this has been great. Thank you for joining us here today. You're traveling and everything. Thanks for giving us your time.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much.
To all of our listeners, remember starting that dialogue as the superintendent. It's not how the story ends or the conversation ends, it's how it starts, which I thought was brilliant. I wrote that down. We're becoming better together, all of us here. And parents, we've hoped you've gained a couple insights here. Starting that rich dialogue with your kids is the only safety app in the world. You being there for them, there will be difficult times. And we also want to let you know that we are rooting for you. If I had pom-poms, I'd be shaking them and cheerleading you on if your kids dislike you once a month, once a week, because you took away a little screen time that can better them in the future with less screen time and make them more resilient and ready for the world and maybe even happier now. But if they dislike you a little, we are rooting for you because you're doing the tough love parenting that everybody wants to see happen. And nobody has the time to do it or the effort. But if you're able to do a little bit of that, we love it. We're here for you. Smart Social appreciates you. And parents, remember what you're posting. Remember to try and keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching what you're doing online. We'll see all of you on the next episode. I'm Josh Oakes, the host of the SmartSocial.com podcast. Have a great rest of the day. Take care. Thanks for listening to the SmartSocial.com podcast. Smart Social helps parents understand technology and social media to keep their kids safe and successful. Be sure to join one of our weekly online live events to become the smartest parent on the block so you can keep your kids safe and protect their future. Also, don't miss our 450 plus online resources and replays you can watch on demand in multiple languages. Are you a school district wanting to unlock these resources for your parents? Reach out to us so we can protect your whole community each week. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you on the next episode.